All right, next up we have Jacob Marineau. Jacob is a game designer with a passion for coding and working with people. Jacob's project is called Lord and Legends Character Creator, and I'll pass it over to Jacob. Floor is all yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jacob Marineau. I'll be presenting my solo project this morning. So for starts, what is Lords and Legends? Lords and Legends is a tabletop role-playing game where you use dice to make decisions based on what a lore master, in this case, tells you. It's like playing through a story that is dictated by a storyteller. You all work together and you try to solve problems by working together. In this case, you make a character that you would role play in the game. And this character would have many different abilities, skills, and things that can be useful for the actual gameplay. Through lots and lots of playtesting, I found that the character creation process takes a very, very long time. And unfortunately, it takes away a lot of gameplay. So I have decided through much time and effort to create my own character creator, custom made, as no other system out there is able to accommodate the complexities of my game. For more additional context, this game is going to be played in a table, so I'll be in front of them, the players will be in front of me, where we will be using physical dice and using this to track and create our characters as we play through the game. So go ahead and go into the demo. So when the person or player comes to the website, they'll immediately be presented to the login page and simply just log in and they'll be brought to the home page. In this home page, they'll have the option to create a character or view any current characters that they've created. In this case, we're just going to create a new character. And I'm using my good friend Ava as an example, because I remember quite a few times where she would complain about the current setup that I have for the character creation process. But now with this new system, it's much, much simpler. So I'm just going to put her name. And in this case, she can select everything she needs to. So starting race and vocation, and change any of the stats that she wants. Luckily, these can be set to 0, so we're just going to gloss over it. Here is the second page of the form where they can input all of their stats that they'll be using throughout the game. There's quite a few of them, but that's necessary, and the players definitely want this amount of complexity. And in this case, they can all be 0 again, so we can just skip through. Coming to the last part, they can go ahead and review all of the choices they've made. If they have any issues with the choices, they can restart the character creator process. After submitting, they'll be brought to their character summary page. They can then look at their characters and decide which one they want to play for that campaign. In this case, the new one we just created, we'll take a look at. When we come to the character sheet, they'll be shown their basic information, all their stats, and on the back end, there's a modifier being calculated based on the decisions they made that is then populating throughout the rest of the form in the sheet. So as we go through, they have all of their stats that they would have put in, all ready for them to use and to reference. Additionally, they'll also have all the skills that they selected. Now, we didn't go through any skills and we didn't actually put any of this in there. This is all being handled dynamically. Before they'd have to put all of this in by hand, but now it's just automatic. In this case, there's no spells for this specific vocation, but all of the equipment, spells, skills would be shown up here. Just a quick moment for me to go to the top and show the next part. And if they need to change anything, there's also a button here that allows them to change their name, their attributes, anything they need. And they can also add additional equipment. So in this case, let's say Eva had a sword. She wants to add that in. You can go up here and save that. And just in case they are not done making changes, it doesn't bring you immediately back to the character page. But if we go down, just a slow scroll down to our weapons, we see we have our new sword added to the page. So they can reference that whenever they're in combat. And that is my presentation.
Great. Thank you, Jacob. All right, questions for Jacob, throw them in the chat. Let's see here. So Jacob, how about what would you have changed had you gone back to the beginning of the project? Were there any scope changes or requirements that were more complicated, or maybe things that you know, were surprised at how easy or not easy they were? Yeah, what do you know now that you would have liked to have known 2 weeks ago?
What I know now, probably figure out the calculations part a little bit more sophisticatedly. That took a little bit of time, but I got it working. It works great. That way players don't have to go in and rechange things over and over again. It does it all for them. So I would make sure that's a main priority instead of the last part that I would have done.
Sure. And then what's left? You've got character creation, you've got kind of the specializations of the game world itself. What would you do with a couple more weeks?
For this, I would build out a couple more modals. And what I mean by that is allow the players to change individual skills and weapons as well. Unfortunately, not enough time to implement that. That's a little more complicated in this case. But that would be the next steps, as well as integrating my current lore pages that gives people information on how to play the game. That would come a little bit later. That's quite a big project that'd probably take a few months of my year.
Great. Let's see, we've got two more here. I'll just combine them. Kent asks if you would consider adding dice rollers, and Adam says, "Way to go, Jacob." What did you learn about the database setup? I imagine this could get complicated.
Yes, so for the first one, I will be implementing dice rollers. I do have a very, very nice, good set of physical dice that I like to use. But in the case of like online play or over Discord, which is a online platform to communicate, I would make sure that I would have a dice roller that can accommodate the players. And the second question, which was, can you remind me again?
Yep. What did you learn about database setup?
Yes. This project had a very, very large database with many tables that are in constant contact with each other. It wasn't that big of a problem after I refined it down and figured out exactly what I needed it to do. During the start of the project, it was a little bit daunting, and I had a lot of different table connections that weren't needed, trimming it down from 15 data tables to just 8, and they all work seamlessly together. You would never even guess.
Great. And final feedback, Jody says it'd be cool to see my character after I create it. Potentially, I'm not sure if they may be mentioning like maybe a way to upload a artist rendition perhaps, or maybe something more visual, but no question attached to that one. So I guess maybe you had mentioned it prior, Jacob, but do you have any plans to work with artists or get some of the game components on there? I think you'd already mentioned that a little bit, but if you wanted to expand on that at all, that'd be up to you.
Yeah, at some point I am going to get professional artistry to show different parts of the game. It's not visual because it's more in the imagination and how you're presenting yourself verbally to another person and communicating that properly. The visual component will be expanded upon later, but for now, the priority is just making sure that the gameplay itself is feeling seamless and easy to use.
Great. Nice job. Thanks, Jacob.